Okay, welcome to today's workshop, which is on orthorexia, a commonly undiagnosed block to healing. This topic has been on my mind for quite a while. And maybe about a month ago, I saw someone share online their personal experience with orthorexia in the medical medium world, and it got me very fired up to talk about this. So this has been a long coming topic for me, but I got the spark to really go for it, and it was time to talk about it. So for those of you who don't know, my background training is as a registered dietitian. So I got a bachelor's degree. I did a year-long internship in hospitals, community centers, nursing homes, food service, all the things you do to become a registered dietitian. And then I got a master's degree in nutrition because this has just always been a lifelong interest of mine. I've always been seeking answers to health. I've always been seeking answers for myself, to help other people. And it's just an area that's been of great interest to me. And I always loved food. I was a big foodie. I lived in New York City. I went to all the restaurants and tried all the things. I wanted to eat all the exotic foods. I wanted to learn how to make all the things. And so my parents had worked in food service. They had a restaurant, and my dad was a chef. And so it's a thing for me lifelong. So anyway, part of my training as a registered dietitian is in the mental health aspects of food. And so I have training in eating disorders. And I think one of the areas that I understand, specialize in, have training in is around the mental health aspects of food that a lot of health coaches and other practitioners don't have training in. And I see the gaps, the lack of that training playing out in some of the ways they're coaching and some of the messages that they're giving, and not realizing that the way it's coming through can be quite damaging for people, especially if they have a history of disordered eating, if they are prone to disordered eating, to mental health issues. It can be very problematic. So that's the background that I come from in addressing this information. So let me start by sharing the story that I heard, and I just re-listened to it, and I took some notes on it because I wanted to make sure I was sharing this story in as much of the words that this woman used as possible, so that I'm not twisting it, I'm not fabricating it, I'm not making it into anything else. So essentially what this woman shared was that she had been on the medical medium lifestyle, whatever that meant for her, for 5 years. And she had previously been eating keto. Her story is very much all over the place. I'm trying to tell it in a little bit more of a chronological fashion than how she shared it, but and rightfully so. I want to be clear that I have zero judgment for this woman. I have nothing but compassion for her. I'm happy she's feeling better. I'm happy that she is taking the steps to heal herself physically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually. So I hope that that is the way that I share her story comes across. And again, it is with the utmost respect and compassion. So she was eating keto before she transitioned to the medical medium lifestyle and started eating low-fat vegan. She was eating a pound of bacon a day. That was definitely not working for her. So she came into this lifestyle, and she shared that she sort of bought into this lifestyle and community. That's a quote. But as she was going through more and more detox, she's shared she was becoming increasingly restrictive in an effort to get better. And all of her symptoms were being blamed on detox. So she was having worsening neurologic symptoms. She had a pretty severe adrenal crash after doing back-to-back cleanses, and had severe insomnia because of it. And her health was just tanking. She shared that she was having severe heart palpitations and significant percentage of irregular heartbeats. She was going to a doctor for this. They were considering medical interventions to help bring her heart rate back into normal. And that was kind of the breaking point, where she was sharing, again, the harder she was pushing, the worse she got, and then her nervous system just tanked. And so she stopped all the supplements, and a lot of her symptoms went away overnight. She stopped all restrictions. That's her word, restrictions. And she's feeling much better now. Her exact words, "I'm feeling so much better now." She's able to do more things with her family. She stopped having horrible nightmares. Her hair stopped falling out. She said she was struggling with being afraid of dying, afraid of being alone with her kids. She was afraid of everything. And since she has stopped taking all supplements and is eating all foods again, she didn't share what she was doing before, what she's doing after, but I assume she has brought back many foods into her diet. She says she's feeling a lot better. She still has a lot of adrenal healing to do, but she's feeling a lot better. So what happened here? And this is like an unfortunate classic example to me of why people leave the medical medium community. And sometimes they get, and I believe this woman did get better along the way, but then started to get worse. Of course, if you go off of keto and you start eating carbohydrates again, you're probably going to feel better. I don't know what her chronic illness symptoms were. She didn't share that. She had an account, and she took everything off her account except for one post and one set of stories, and that's all she has on there now. So I don't know what brought her to the lifestyle, or what motivated her or anything, but I see this pattern in almost every single person that I see leaving the medical medium community. It's essentially is that what they're doing is not feeling good. And in her own words, and I use this phrase all the time, she was pushing harder and harder, and she was getting worse instead of better. And so what I see as a registered dietitian with training in disordered eating is that she had undiagnosed orthorexia, which is an unhealthy obsession with eating healthy food. And it becomes such a problem that it creates nervous system dysregulation, worsening adrenal fatigue, and then the symptoms you have can get worse. You can develop new symptoms, or you can just get stuck where like you're just not getting better. So nervous system dysregulation means that we are either upregulated or downregulated. So essentially we're going into one of fight, flight, freeze, or some people consider fawn to be a stress response as well. So our heart rate is up, our breathing rate is up, our blood pressure is up, our stress hormones are up. And some people appear very upregulated, and some people actually shut down. I have a very dear friend who was going through a very significant health crash, adrenal issue, and she would go into freeze and she would just lay on the floor in her living room and she couldn't do anything. She couldn't face anything. So not all stress responses look like freaking out or crying or becoming hysterical or angry. It can look like nothing is happening when underneath the stress hormones are super high. So those elevated stress hormones are going to stress the adrenals and make your health symptoms worse, right? Because stress, adrenaline, is the most toxic substance to the body. It's more toxic than anything out there that we're being exposed to because it's right in our system and we can be in it 24/7. So we can do all the work we want, reducing our toxin exposure, eating the healing foods, doing all the things. But if we've got elevated stress hormones, it's not going to work. It's just literally not going to work. So making sure that we are in a healthy mental, emotional, and spiritual place is of the utmost importance when we are trying to heal our bodies. And that's why my practice has expanded and shifted in the way that it has, because I started as just a registered dietitian. And I had some experience with mental health training, right? I had training in counseling, but I very, very quickly figured out that like food alone is not fixing anybody's issues. No, nobody's issues. We have to take a more holistic approach. And that's where my practice has evolved to. So back to this. So we're gonna get into how to regulate the nervous system and how to know if your nervous system is dysregulated and all that good stuff. But let's go back to kind of this story and the medical medium information first. So is this the fault of the medical medium information? I don't think so, because everything that Anthony shares says to modify it, to adjust it, to make it work for you. He never says, don't ever eat meat. He never says, don't ever eat grains. He gives you the information, and then it's our job to figure out how to apply that information into our own lives. And that's why there's so many practitioners, because we need help figuring that out. It's complex. And unfortunately, I don't see all practitioners adjusting the protocols to the individual. A lot of people are. A lot of people are doing great work at this. There are practitioners, medical medium practitioners applying medical medium information, right? Let's use the right terminology, that are also doing nervous system regulation work. That is super powerful. But there are others who don't have an awareness of this. And so again, I don't think it's the fault of the medical medium information. I don't think it is I'm not blaming the practitioners, but there's a gap here that I feel like I have to talk about, because I see it happen too many times. And people come to me because they don't want orthorexia, or they have experienced it in the past, or they've had practitioners tell them, push harder, push harder, push harder. And they're like, I can't do that. This is not working for me. And unfortunately, sometimes people get gaslit when they say it's not working for them. And they're told, well, you're not doing it right. You're not pushing hard enough. You're not committed enough. You don't want it bad enough, and that's not really fair to people. I don't think. I don't coach that way. I don't counsel people that way. Because I don't live in your body and I don't know what your body feels like. I can pick up a lot by looking at you, by talking to you, through my empathy, through my intuition. I could pick up a ton, but I don't know what it is to sit and live in your body. I never will, and no one else ever will. So this is not the fault of the medical medium information. It's not the fault of the practitioners. I think it's the fault of all of us being taught to be disembodied. And what disembodiment means to me is that we have a lack of connection to our body wisdom and to our intuition. I'm pointing, right? Like the body wisdom is kind of everywhere. The intuition, I think, lives a little bit higher up in the body, but it can be anywhere as well, right? And what happens is we outsource our power to an external authority, which is what we have been trained to do our entire lives. Okay, so this isn't a problem. This is a problem of our culture, right? This is a problem of patriarchy and capitalism. So we've been trained not to listen to ourselves, not to follow our intuition. We've been trained to take the advice of someone outside of us who knows more, who is a guru, who is an expert, who is claiming to have all the answers and trying to sell us something, right? So we've been taught to disembody, to disconnect from this. And that is where the real problem lies. So our healing, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to jump forward and I'm going to come back. So how do we get embodied? We do it by coming back to our own internal environment, at our own internal authority. So when you do a cleanse and you don't feel good, and someone tells you it's detox symptoms, and you do another cleanse and you feel worse, and someone tells you it's detox symptoms, you have to keep cleansing. You got to check in and go, is this really helping me? Do I want to do this? Does this feel joyful? Am I feeling drawn to this experience? Is there a magnetism to this cleanse that I want, even though I know it might be uncomfortable? Or am I forcing and pushing and shoving harder to try and get to the destination that I desire. And if it's forcing and pushing and shoving and working against yourself, then that's not the answer ever. Doesn't matter how good that cleanse is. Doesn't matter how perfect that supplement is for your symptoms. It's not right for you. So the way that I approach embodiment in regards to food is through a process called intuitive eating. Now, a lot of people, pardon my French, shit on intuitive eating because they don't understand what it is. Okay. Intuitive eating does not mean that you just eat whatever you want and you follow every craving, right? It does not mean that. Okay. Intuitive eating means you have to start with good information. You have to take that information and run it through your own discernment. You have to say, is this right for me? Does this make sense for me? Does this resonate for me? Am I getting like a warm feeling in my belly when I think about this? Or am I getting like whole body agita? Okay. Like let your body tell you what's right and wrong for you. No matter how good your mind says it is, let your body tell you. And so with intuitive eating, we are deprogramming and deconditioning the way we eat that is based on external authority. We are releasing the external authority over our food choices, over dieting, over a healing plan, over whatever, over the culture of our family. And we're really coming back to responding to our body's signals and to eating with pleasure, right? Food is meant to be joyful, right? What's some of the highest vibration emotions are joy and unconditional love. And what are some of the highest emotions that are going to cause your stress hormones to go down the lowest? Joy, unconditional love, a feeling of nourishment, right? That is going to set up your nervous system for absolute success. And then you don't have to do cleanse after cleanse after cleanse after cleanse, unless it feels good, unless that feels joyful, then you go, girl, you get it, you know? I can tell you, in my experience, I tried to do the 3-6-9 cleanse once. And I got to like day 6 or something, or 5. I don't know. It was a lot of years ago. I had such horrendous liver spasms that all the muscles in my back were spasming. And I had to stop. And I don't think that's a failure of the 3-6-9. I think that is my body telling me it doesn't want that cleanse. That cleanse is not for my body right then. I've had clients do 3-6-9 cleanses and feel fantastic. They feel amazing. They feel so much better after. They're like, I got to do that again. And I'm like, do it again. You know, and I've had other people say they do it and they hate it and it's awful. And I'm like, why are you doing it then? Stop doing it. You don't have to do that. Who told you had to do that? Somebody planted the seed that you had to do that. It's not true. So we got to bring it back to pleasure. So the 3 founding principles of intuitive eating are embodiment, joy, and self-awareness. So embodiment, again, is this return to the inner guidance system. It's the return to our direct connection with our higher power, with our higher self. We don't need any middlemen anymore. We don't need we don't need a priest or a pope, or we don't need a government. We don't need a teacher. We don't need a guru. We don't need anything. We have a direct line now. Okay. It's 2023. We have a direct line. Nobody needs to be in the middle of that. There can be people that help you strengthen that connection, that help you recognize what that connection is. How does it feel? Where is it coming from? It's a muscle. That connection is a muscle. And because we haven't used it, because we've been trained not to use it, we have to grow it stronger again. So coaches and healers and intuitives are super helpful and important for that. But make sure you're choosing people who are returning you to your internal authority always. I am always reflecting back to people what I'm hearing them say, asking them to think about how that feels for them, giving suggestions. What do you think about this? I'll tell them a story. How does that resonate for you? How does that hit for you? And allowing them to be in their own process, right? My job is to guide you back to your own body as your guidance system. So check in with that, your feelings, your body sensations, those little intuitive hits that you get. Coming back to eating when you're hungry, being fully present when you eat, choosing to eat what you want in that moment. Like maybe you really don't want celery juice. Maybe you just want to eat a whole friggin' watermelon. And like, that's the best thing for your body that morning. Do it. Do that. Connect to your hunger and fullness cues. Eat when you're hungry. Stop when you're full. It's simple, but like, we don't always do that. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough so long that then we binge later, right? So this is another thing that can happen when we outsource our internal authority, is we can restrict and binge. And that's not really helpful either, right? I don't do a lot of cleanses because they feel restrictive to me, and then they can trigger binging for me afterwards. Not severe life altering binging, but like I want to eat tons of rice. And like then that, or fat, and like then that just doesn't, that it sends me ping ponging, right? We're like, we don't want our nervous system ping ponging. We don't want our food ping ponging. We don't want our emotions ping ponging, right? Like we want to be on a steady wave. Let's like ride the steady wave. Okay. Just like Mother Nature intended. And connecting to your body, like what does hunger feel like for you? Now that I have cleansed, I do not feel hunger in my stomach. I don't get hungry in my stomach anymore. Dr. Joel Furman calls that stomach hunger toxic hunger. It's actually a detox reaction. And you start to detox, and then you crave those crummy foods that put toxins into your stomach. And it's a drug. You crave the food drugs, right? So for me, hunger is more like a change in my energy. Like I have to really pay attention, because I can get really excited about things and start working and going, and then be like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten for 4 hours. I'm starving. Like I missed it. So for me, it's more like eating at regular intervals so I don't get too hungry. Like that's what works for my body. Also feeling into like, what does fullness feel like for you? I get this little like, okay, you've had enough, but it's very subtle. And if I don't, and when I have that, I eat like 1 or 2 more bites so that I can feel satisfied. Being full and satisfied are 2 different things. So I can be satisfied because I can go, okay, I have 2 more bites left. I can really enjoy these last 2 bites. But it's really easy for me to ignore that and just keep eating and just be like, I'm gonna finish my plate. I was raised in the clean plate club. I gotta finish my plate. So it's a subtle thing. So we have to tune into these subtle messages, this subtle language that the body speaks to us. Okay. But that's some basics of embodiment in terms of food. Then joy, right? Our food has to smell good, look good, taste good. It's got to feel satisfying. Again, fullness and satisfaction, 2 different things, right? If you underate yesterday for whatever reason, the next day you're going to have a bigger appetite. You're going to want to eat more, and you're going to want to eat to a little bit greater level of fullness to make up from your calorie deficit from the day before. So you're again, fullness and satiety are 2 different things. We want to be listening to both. And we want to be eating in good company. We want to be eating in a good environment. I'm so guilty of rushing through my food and multitasking. So guilty of this. But my partner, Eric, is so good about making sure everyone sits down together, and we always sit at the dining room table. And I need that masculine structure to come in so that we have more organized meals, right? And I have to bring that to my kids, because I'll like graze all day. That doesn't really work for kids. Like we got to sit down together. We have to eat together. So making sure that you're creating a joyful experience for yourself and everyone around you. Light a candle, put on some good music, like make it joyful. And then the third aspect of intuitive eating is self-awareness. And we have to understand not just what we're eating and how we're eating, but the really big question is, why are we eating? And why are we eating what we're eating? Are we eating for sensory gratification, like hunger, fullness, because it looks good, it smells good, it tastes good, right? Those are good things. Are we eating for comfort? Sometimes I use foods for grounding, like potatoes and avocado and rice cakes and soups and cooked food. It's grounding for me. It helps me regulate my nervous system without throwing me off my plan, without introducing a bunch of junk. It helps me to soothe, right? So we can use food for comfort and soothing and nervous system regulation. I think that's a very healthy thing. You might hear different opinions on this. Now, we can also eat food for distraction if we're bored. We can eat food in front of the TV because we're trying to numb ourselves. We can eat for sedation. We can eat to like down regulate our nervous system, like eat something really heavy that makes us feel like it can be a numbing effect, right? We can eat for sedation. We can also eat for punishment. So we can do this with healthy foods, and we can do this with not so healthy foods, right? I've shared this story many times. When I was in my late 20s, I lived alone. It was not a good living situation for me. And I felt and like so I'd binge drink all weekend looking for connection. Then I would be home alone in my apartment on Sunday afternoons, wicked hungover, feeling miserable, feeling more disconnected than ever, right? Because I just found these hollow drunken connections. And I would eat like junk food, pizza and chips and soda, and I would eat until I was like so uncomfortably full, like painful. And in some ways I look back and like I was almost like punishing myself, like forcing myself to like finish the whole pizza or like whatever I was doing. Like it was almost punishment. Like it was rough times back then, guys. It was rough times. I don't want to go back there. But I learned so much from that, right? 27-year-old Rachel learned so much that I now carry with me in 40-year-old Rachel. So you want to be like watching for where you are on this spectrum of eating and watching the triggers that push you into those realms, and then using all of your tools, right? Which is a whole other talk about how to support those underlying energetic imbalances that are causing us to use food as a numbing agent, right? So this is intuitive eating. And I think this is probably a very different view of intuitive eating than you hear from people who are out there bashing it and saying like, oh, you're not really craving a hot dog. Like, no, you're not. That's not part of intuitive. Hot dogs are not part of intuitive eating. It's intuitive eating is saying, I'm craving a hot dog. Why am I craving a hot dog? What is that is that offering me sedation? Is it offering me comfort? Is it like what's going on with that craving, right? Because intuitive eating starts with good information. And we do use in the intuitive eating process, gentle nutrition, gentle cleansing, connecting to the body, right? So in the process of intuitive eating, we have the masculine and we have the feminine. The masculine is good information, structured meal times, understanding the healing properties of foods, right? Celery juice is a phenomenal healing food. The value of doing cleanses when they feel right for us, right? This is the masculine aspect of it. The feminine then says, okay, but how does that feel? What do I want today? Where am I in my cycle? What's the season? What am I in the mood for? What's going to feel really joyful and pleasurable? And sometimes that's celery juice, and sometimes it's a big bowl of steamy sweet potatoes with avocado and salt and lemon on it, and like it's the best thing you've ever had, right? And sometimes it's like, oops, I ate a piece of chocolate cake. Like, okay, we get over it. Like if you eat a troublemaker food, a no food, you just go, whoops, then you move on, right? There's no need to punish ourselves or agonize over it or whatever. We just go, why did I eat a piece of chocolate cake? Oh, I was having a craving. Or I was in the middle of my cycle and my energy was really low and I was craving a stimulant. Like, it happens, it's perfectly normal and it's okay. And so we can find better ways to support ourselves, right? We can how can I make a better plan for next month, right? As the masculine comes back and works with this, right? But it doesn't become an internal battle. That's the thing. So we use the mind to collect good information. We use that masculine, but we turn to the body to make the decisions. And sometimes we're going to make the wrong decisions. That's part of life. We're always going to make wrong decisions. We're going to pick the wrong partner. We're going to take the wrong route on the highway. We're going to take the wrong supplement. Like, we're going to make mistakes. That is part of the process. And so this being okay with being in the ebb and flow, being okay with making mistakes, with experimentation, I tried that and it didn't work for me. Like, that's the space we need to be living in. So, and the body is constantly communicating to us, did we make a good choice or did we not make a not so good choice? And when we listen to the body and we respond appropriately, we maintain health, or our health improves. When we ignore the body, when we numb to it, when we don't respond, or when we can't respond, right? Sometimes we can't respond. Some days I'm exhausted because the baby had me up all night, but I got a parent all day long. I can't take a nap. There's no way for me to take a nap. I have to just work through it and then rest when I can, right? And that's also okay. I can honor my body and say, thank you for helping me to push through. Thank you for giving me that little adrenaline to get me through my day here to feed the kids and keep them alive and reasonably happy. But when we consistently numb and ignore and can't or don't respond, that's when we lose our health. Okay, because we all have pathogens. We all have a shitload of toxins. But what's the difference? It's stress, right? And some of those stressors are out of our control, but a lot of them are within our control, right? And how we regulate our nervous system is the way is our ability to respond to stress in a positive or a negative way. So healing food should never feel stressful. Sometimes it's a little stressful when you're trying to make lemon water and celery juice and your smoothie and get out on the road, right? So it's a little stressful sometimes, right? That's okay, once in a while. But if it's like that every day, and then you like feel like crap, but you're like forcing yourself to do a cleanse, you're forcing yourself to stay raw, and you're like, like all day long, you feel like dysregulated and on edge, and like that is not a healing space. Like I don't care what you do with food, it's not going to help you. So we are checking in with the body. And healing food can sometimes feel a little uncomfortable, right? Detox is a part of the process. We're not blaming everything on detox. We're not saying symptoms getting worse, new symptoms popping up, or detox, but detox is part of the process. So my rule of thumb is if the detox lasts an hour or two, when you add a new food, when you increase your celery juice, when you add a new supplement, but you can mostly go about like a low to medium activity day. And it goes away within an hour or two, then that's a healthy level of like pushing your detox right up to the edge, because the body is dumping those toxins into the bloodstream. That's when you get the headache, the bellyache, a little bit of diarrhea, achiness. But then within an hour or two, it's gone. That means your body cleared the toxins out of the bloodstream. Okay, good, great. You are effectively at the edge of your detox capacity. If you're getting your ass kicked by detox, you cannot function, your symptoms are getting worse, you are stuck in bed because of it, it's pushing the detox too hard, you're overloading the detox pathways, and those toxins are just circulating around the blood, they're not clearing fast enough. So there are some people that say that's good. There are not medical medium people, but some raw foodists who are like, yeah, get in that flu-like symptom, Herkimer reaction detox. That is not for me, guys. That is not for me. I cannot push myself to that place. And that for me does not feel like I'm balancing the masculine and the feminine there. That feels like I'm abandoning my body, right? It feels very disembodied to force and push through that. A little bit of push is good, right? It's just like when you work out and you want to get stronger, it's a little uncomfortable. You got to make your muscles burn a little bit, right? You have to push the detox a little bit. That's okay. But again, like not to the extreme and not every single day. So we find a sweet spot with our own healing protocol. And then we check in with our body, we check in with our intuition, and then we check in with our nervous system. So when our nervous system is regulated, you feel like you can think clearly. You're not overthinking. Thoughts kind of come in and then they go. Our breathing is slow and regular. The heart rate feels steady and the body feels calm. This is what a good coach will bring you, a regulated nervous system. We mirror the nervous system of the 5 people we spend the most time around. Okay, now this is just some statistic or something I picked up somewhere, right? But we mirror the nervous systems of the people we spend the most time around, and they mirror ours. So we're constantly feeding off of each other. Are called mirror neurons. So we actually build similar neural pathways to the people around us. That's why our children pick up our habits, right? They pick up our mannerisms, they pick up our words. They're mirroring neural pathways, but they also do this through their stress response systems, right? So I have a family member who is very often very dysregulated, like very dysregulated. And she uses alcohol to try and numb that, right? Which of course doesn't work. And this has been a, known this person for many decades. I see the exact same neural patterns in her daughter now, who is an adult. And it's so clear to me that she mirrored those neural pathways, right? And so we want to be really conscientious about how we are presenting our nervous system to the world. And this is why clients like to work with me, because I come to sessions grounded. I come clear. I come with a regulated nervous system. And you get to borrow that. You get to mirror it in the hour that we sit together, and then you get to hang on to it as long as you can afterwards. Now, am I regulated all the time? Absolutely not. No. I lose my shit just like everyone else. I get dysregulated. But the key is that we gain an awareness of this. I sent out a survey to my email list maybe like almost a year ago. And I asked the top things that they were interested in learning about. Everybody said nervous system regulation was the number one thing. The lowest one was self-awareness. And I was like, guys, you can't have a regulated nervous system without self-awareness. I'm like, this is the missing link. Like, you have to practice self-awareness in order to have a regulated nervous system. So, and I never like did a thing with that, but it was just interesting to me that that was a knowledge gap for a lot of people. So, so that's what's so nice about a regulated nervous system. When a problem comes into your world, you go, I see this problem. This problem is not me. This problem is temporary. I have tools. What tool will work on this problem? Let's try this one. That didn't work. Let's try this one. Okay, let's try this one. And then you're like, that one worked. Problem solved. Moving on, right? This is a lovely way to interact with your environment. When we are dysregulated due to old traumas that are unresolved, adrenal fatigue, lack of sufficient support, lives that are too fast-paced, lack of adequate sleep, disembodiment, long-term disembodiment, cleansing too rapidly, then we get to this space of nervous system dysregulation where we are living on the edge. Ooh, you're like right on that edge. I tell my daughter sometimes, I'm like, I'm at my edge here. I'm gonna go past my edge. I try to warn her, right? So when we're dysregulated, we're right at that edge, and then problem comes in, right? And like all hell breaks loose. Shit hits the fan. There's tears, there's yelling, there's screaming, there's anger, there's a freeze. You just shut down, right? You can't address it at all. All the tools are gone. You're like, I have no tools. Everything's going to hell. Like it's bad. Right? And that's what this woman was describing, these feelings, these horrific nightmares, the feelings of a fear of dying, fear of being home alone with her kids, fear of everything, right? Your nervous system is totally dysregulated. And in order to cleanse, you have to have healthy adrenals. This is a gap I also see that gets missed. You can't go into a high raw diet with weak adrenals. It does not work. Your body can't handle that level of cleansing. And I've seen other practitioners talk about this. It is out there, but again, not all. Some practitioner, we've all got pieces, right? I don't know it all. I don't know all the things. There are other practitioners that have tools that I don't know shit about. None of us are perfect, but there are practitioners very aware of this, and there are practitioners who have no idea. So being able to have this self-awareness and recognize our dysregulation and then adapt to it in protective ways is how we heal. Like I get dysregulated and I'm like, oh, okay, I got dysregulated. And I'll say to my oldest daughter, I'll be like, mommy needs time out. and I'll just go to my room, or I'll go to the bathroom and I'll sit there for a few minutes and I'll just breathe and I'll talk myself through it. And maybe I'll put on some essential oils, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, okay, I'm sorry. Here's what happened. I asked you the same thing 10 times, or you kept yelling at me, or whatever is going on, right? Or she was dysregulated and then I caught it. And then we talk about it and we work through it, right? So we have these tools to bring our nervous systems back into balance. And that's a simpler example, and this can get much more difficult when we're triggered by bigger life things. But we can use tools like self-awareness, meditation, spiritual connection, slow breathing, naps, adequate sleep, grounding foods, embodiment techniques, all to trauma healing techniques, all to help bring ourselves towards a more regulated nervous system more of the time, right? I don't know if anybody has a regulated nervous system 100% of the time. I don't know if that's possible. We're human beings, right? We're not, we're not gods. But we can find a more regulated nervous system more of the time. That's ultimately the goal, right? It's just like with healing. Every day we want to move the needle 1 inch in the right direction. Like, let's just 1 inch in the right direction each day. And then there's going to be stressors that come along, like pregnancies and births and deaths in the family and divorces and foreclosures, and shit's going to happen in life that is going to be stressful for us, and we're going to have to work through. But that is how we become better human beings. Those things do not happen by accident. They are spiritual assignments. And so when we can understand that those are spiritual assignments, that can be the first step in taking the activation out of it. And we're not meant to escape all stressors. These bodies are meant to be used. We're not meant to like put them in a bubble, right? You know what happened to Bubble Boy? No immune system, screwed, right? We're meant to be exposed to the pathogens and the toxins and the toxic people and the tragedies and the difficulties. This is life. We are built for this, but we can use tools to adapt ourselves to work through it better. So do we need to be prepared for these things? Yeah, we need to reduce our toxin exposure. We need to eat intentionally. We need to use the right information, which in my book is medical medium information. That is still the best healing information I've ever found. Something better comes along, I will go to that. But in my 17 years as a registered dietitian and 4 years of studying nutrition before that, I have not found that anything that comes close to this, that gets anyone the results that this information gets them. So I'm a full-on wholehearted believer, but I am also a believer in the divine feminine. I am a believer in absolutely customizing these protocols, and I am a believer in embodiment. And I'm a believer that your internal authority is the most important power that you have. And I never want to see you give away your power to someone else, because that's what got that woman in so much trouble. She gave away all her power, and she had a huge health crash. So I was writing in the description of this, how giving away your power can be devastating for your health and can be dangerous. And I was like, ooh, is that a little clickbaity? Is that like too intense? But it's not. It's the truth. And I went back and listened to her story again, and I was like, nope, it is 100% the truth. So it's absolutely dangerous to give away your power. It's how cults happen. It's how people take control. It's how mind control happens, right? It's absolutely very dangerous. And it applies to food as well. So let's do, in the last 10-15 minutes here, a quick meditation for nervous system regulation, because setting yourself up to, I never knew what a really grounded nervous system felt like as an adult until almost 2 years ago. I had unresolved trauma. I had repressed trauma that became unrepressed, and then I learned about this is a whole other topic, but I'll just share my story of how I found the most regulated nervous system I've ever had as an adult. I did unconscious wound healing with Sister Shanti in Costa Rica, and that changed my nervous system, and that's why I rolled that out into my practice. And that's past lives, parallel lives, Akashic records, that kind of healing. So that's a service that I also offer. But one of the most basic ways that you can start to regulate your nervous system today is just to check in with your body. So with that, let's do it. All right, so make yourself comfortable. I'm a big believer that meditation should be comfortable, and because the goal here is to get your stress hormones as low as possible. So borrow my nervous system. I'm a little excited because I love talking about this stuff, but hopefully I'm coming across as pretty grounded. Okay, so close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathing all the way down into your belly. Allowing your belly to expand as you breathe down deeper. And sending a grounding cord down from the base of your spine. Deeper and deeper into the earth. Sending your grounding cord all the way down to the center of the earth. And as you anchor down into the earth, I'll set the intention, whatever comes through today is intended for our highest good, and the highest good of all those concerned. Participating in this meditation live or on replay. Opening the crown of your head, inviting in your intuition, inviting in your guardian angels, your guides. Opening that connection to your higher self, to your soul. Bringing it down through the crown of your head, down into your heart center. And as you breathe that connection in, placing hands on your heart, checking in with your body, feeling for any sensations, any messages, any divine guidance to come through. And placing hands wherever you feel your body speaking to you. Connecting into the wisdom that those sensations hold. allowing the truths that you already know on some level that perhaps have been pushed away or denied to come front and center. Opening all the intuitive channels, golden energy flowing in through the crown, down to the pineal gland at the center of your head, your center for intuition. Golden energy flowing in through the ear channel, where you receive your clairaudience. Golden energy swirling around your whole body and up through the throat into the pineal gland, where you receive your clairsentience, your feeling, your body wisdom. And golden energy flowing in through the third eye, right between the eyebrows, meeting all the other intuitive channels at the pineal gland. Fully opening and activating all of your intuitive channels. Allowing that beautiful golden energy to spiral around your body, swirl around your body. Cleansing and clearing your aura. Cutting any cords. Transmuting any false, outdated beliefs. Helping to clear any misinformation or confusion. Releasing any programming or conditioning that causes you to outsource your power. I'm calling all of your vital energy back to the present moment, back to your body that is constantly working for you, patiently, tirelessly, working on your behalf, healing, cleansing, holding, communicating, supporting and loving you through all of life's ups and downs, through all the stressors, big and small, real and imaginary. Again, sending that golden energy down your grounding cord as you deeply ground and connect into the earth. At the same time that you connect up the infinite wisdom and brilliance of the universe, knowing that you are a part of that brilliance, a piece of creation, a creator in and of yourself, here at the exact right time, the exact right experience. That could be no other way. Breathing into all the trust and faith in your body, all the trust and faith in your intuition, your higher self to guide you. And in your head, saying your own prayer in your own words, inviting that wisdom to connect with you and to communicate with you. If you have a particular challenge, ask specifically for help with that situation. Breathing in deeply through your nose and out through your mouth. Again, checking in with the body, noticing if any sensations have changed since the beginning of this brief meditation. And remembering you can always come back to this space anytime. You have the choice to return to a regulated, grounded, joyful nervous system. It is within your reach. It is your birthright. It is your calling. The more of us who can find more moments of joy and pleasure and a regulated nervous system, the more we share and spread that energy out into the world. The more we change the way future generations will interact with each other and with the world. This is part of your soul mission. It is your duty to be rested, to be nourished, to be joyful, to be loving, to be compassionate, and to experience all the pleasure that this human existence has to offer. And breathing in through the nose, deep into your belly. Taking 2 more breaths as you bring your conscious awareness back into your body, back into the room, back into this present moment. We'll close the window, asking that any healing that started today, for all of us receiving this transmission, live or replay, will continue on as long as it is needed to bring each and every one of us as an individual and a part of the human collective to our highest possible potential of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And so it is. When you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to the space. And I'm going to open it up if anyone has questions or comments. You can pop them in the chat. Thank you, Leslie. The meditations are the best part for me. I do them because I need them too, and I don't do them enough if I don't do them with you guys. Okay, let me turn down my music here. Okay, any questions, comments, feel free to pop them in there. I will just leave you with saying that tune into your internal authority. Work to increase your self-awareness of your nervous system. And get support too, if you need it, because this is a big job. You know, my prayer was all about having the capacity for all of the things in my life that I juggle, and being able to show up in a regulated state for all of those things. And because I want more too. I want more things. Yes, I know some of you popped in and out, so definitely listen to it full through and get the whole meditation too, because it's a short one, but it's a good one. And if you guys need help, I have right now, as of November 2023, I have single sessions available that can be in combination of working through your nutrition plan, your supplement plan, getting guidance there, connecting to your healing intuition. I think I'm going to do a whole course on your intuition, developing your intuition for healing. So you know how to adjust your plan, you know how to tweak your supplements, you know when to cleanse and when not to cleanse. I think that's going to be coming. And then also divine guidance as well. I do a lot of channeled messages, chakra readings, energy healings that are super powerful for helping to regulate your nervous system, because it can give you answers to things that are just beyond your conscious mind that want to come through, but you need help. I needed help with that for a really long time. For a lot of years, I worked with a lot of teachers, and so it's very valuable to have support in that arena, especially if this more like connecting to your intuition, embodiment stuff, self-awareness stuff is newer for you, which it is for most people. So I do that in single sessions. And then I also have a couple spots opening up this late fall, early winter for a 6-month package where we work together for 6 months. We meet twice a month and we go deep into your healing, all aspects, the food, the supplements, the emotional stuff, the spiritual stuff. We work with getting your nervous system regulated. You know, it's hard to even say what we do in those, but it's a really holistic nutrition and spiritual life coaching too. So there's really beautiful healing that happens in those. So yeah, really important for, someone commented, for CF, chronic fatigue syndrome. That typically is a syndrome that happens after complete adrenal burnout. Like you really hit your wall and you've gone past fight and flight and you've gone into burnout. Yeah, total burnout, total adrenal crash. So, oops. Sorry, my kitten sat on the keyboard. That's totally allowed. We like kittens on keyboards. Yeah, so anyone with neurologic symptoms, and that's why neurologic symptoms are the most difficult to heal, because you've got to address the adrenals. You have to address nervous system regulation. Food alone is not enough. I've seen people take 7 years to heal their central nervous system symptoms. She sells seashells. Central nervous system symptoms. And not my own clients. I've seen other practitioners and people who've been at this for a long time, and they're using really good information. And but I think the missing piece that makes it take so long is that there's so much focus on the physical, and there's not enough focus on the emotional and the spiritual aspects of healing. And I have lots of, everybody has trauma too. We all have trauma. Big or small, and trauma isn't something that we need to be afraid of. It's something that we need to process in a healthy, safe, supported way so that it no longer lives in our nervous system. And that's where I use the unconscious wound healing, accessing the Akashic records, energy healing. That's where I turn to those tools. That's been my modalities for healing my own repressed trauma, for regulating my own nervous system. And there's many different tools out there. There's a lot of somatic work. I do some somatic work, but my calling is to do the intuitive work for the nervous system regulation. I'm very intrigued by all this. Again, I have some training in the somatics through soul flow and other embodiment practices. And mirror work are two somatic approaches that I use. But again, there's lots more. And so you have to find the thing that feels right and like it fits for you. And, you know, some people come to me for one session. Some people come to me for a 6-month package and they stay for years. Some people come for a session once a year. It really is about like what you need and when you need it. And so if you feel a calling, reach out to me and see what would be a fit for you. Or check out my website. There's stuff on there too. And I try to do these free workshops on a pretty regular basis. I'm not as good at it now that I have 2 children, but I'm going to shoot for like quarterly. I used to try and do them once a month, and I'm going to shoot for quarterly. So, yes. So I hope that served you guys. I feel so much better after that meditation. I feel warmer. I feel more grounded. I feel more, present. Like I said, I'm susceptible to the stress just like you guys, but we have great, beyond the mental, emotional, and spiritual work, we have great supplements to support our adrenals. They really make a difference. We have great supplements to support our central nervous system. They're really powerful. Yes, I can add a link for the sessions that I offer. Let's see. I also have a monthly membership, which is a low cost. It's $55 a month, and you guys get a live call every week. And I kind of rotate between like a physical healing topic and more of an emotional, spiritual healing topic. So if you want something consistent at a lower cost, that's really helpful. It's a small group of about, I think, 10 women right now. There's a Facebook support group that goes along with it. Some people participate in that Facebook support group. Some people do not. They just want the recordings and the live calls. So it's a nice, I'll put the info for the membership here too. It's a nice way to get my support. I do meditations like this at least once a month. And again, I cover a range of topics, and I'm always inspired by whatever's coming up for the group. That's definitely, and I'll put the info for the 6-month package here too. Again, these are all on my website. If you click on any of these links and you go to the menu, you'll find all of them. Okay, how long did I follow medical medium and how long did you I have put this in here too. I have the resources. Oops, I have a 5-year update. So it's almost 6 years I've been following medical medium. I had psoriasis. I had pretty significant adrenal fatigue after my first daughter was born. I didn't know I had adrenal fatigue because I had never really looked into it until I started learning about it from medical medium. This is my 5-year update. Okay, yeah, that's my 5-year update. There's a video on there and also a little blog. Yeah, I had heart palpitations, dizziness. I had trauma that was repressed for 35 years. That was a huge driver of emotional eating for me. I started emotionally eating at like 6 or 7, and I was overweight my whole childhood because of it. But I had no idea. I had no idea. I had no idea I was eating emotionally. I had no idea I had repressed trauma, right? But through that first year of cleansing, for me, what I see it as is it like clears out the emotional channels. And when my emotional channels got clear, the old stuff that was in there, you start to process and see. And so that repressed trauma came through, and I healed that through working with my spiritual healers at the time. And then I receive a lot of my own firsthand modalities for healing too. So sometimes it's hard for me to explain what I do because it's such an intuitive process. But the idea for me is always to keep everyone feeling very safe and very regulated. And so that's not stuff we like ever go digging for or we look for, but it just happens naturally. And I think cleaning the body is the avenue to cleaning up the emotional and the mental spaces as well. It helps you to pull out that programming and conditioning that's really false and that's misguiding you, and all that disembodiment, right? All that giving our power away. It helps you to reclaim that. That's why we're pulling out of the Western medical system. We're pulling our kids out of schools and homeschooling. We're pulling out of the even buying food in the grocery stores, right? Like we're coming back to creating small sustainable communities. That is in the future. How many people want their homestead, right? That it's all coming back around. So so how did I get on that from healing? But along with the physical, what was more powerful for me was all the emotional and spiritual healing that happened. That changed my life completely. But yeah, psoriasis, adrenal fatigue, dizziness, heart palpitations. I'm sure I have also a page on my website that describes, it's the Meet Rachel page, that tells you my whole story about like my history with, figuring out I was an empath as well and learning how to deal with that. I outlined my whole story. Yeah, PTSD, the post-traumatic stress is huge. And Anthony actually talks about that. He has an old radio show on PTSD. I love Anthony's old radio shows. Like go all the way back. I'll go all the way back to like the first 20 radio shows. They are amazing. They're my favorites. I think he was in just a more grounded and compassionate space. And not that he's not grounded and compassionate now, but I think that the channels were clearer back then for him. Just my personal take, I think he still has amazing stuff to share, but the original medical medium stuff is like, that's my bread and butter. But yes, I think we can't heal all of it with food without addressing the nervous system. It's going to take forever. It's going to take forever. And people are going to get tired and burnt out and they're going to quit. And it's too hard. Like, I don't know. I have a friend who's been cleansing literally for over 7 years. And like, but she's a single woman, she doesn't work. And so this is just what she does. She just grows her food and cleanses and it's working slowly but surely. But I think if there was some more attention to the emotional trauma pieces to it, she would heal a lot faster. Let me see if I can find, and it used to be called the radio show, not the podcast. But I think if you go to, I'm looking on his website, I think if you go to SoundCloud, I'm going to copy the link for you guys. I think if you go to SoundCloud and you just keep scrolling down. So they're listed by number when it changed to the radio show. Yeah. And then if you go way back, before the celery juice book and before the liver rescue book, those are my favorites. They're like 5 years old. I found them. I'm going to copy them for you guys. Yeah, he used to post his stuff on Hay House and SoundCloud. Yeah, and then it went to all the other platforms and became a podcast. But yeah, and let me know if I missed any questions. I think I'm getting them all, but yeah, okay. Any last questions? I'll hang out for another minute here and then I'm going to go ride a horse this afternoon. I'm going to teach some riding lessons and get outside. It's a little cold here. I'm not really my nervous system is not really looking forward to that, but I'm going to try and bundle up and it's like the beginning of the cold, which is the hardest part. And take care of my adrenals. Maybe bring myself a hot tea in a mug or something, and yeah, take care of my adrenals. So, all right. I hope that served you guys. You can always reach me at support@rachelpellison.com. There are forms at the bottom of my website. You can send me a message. Those go right to my email. I get all of those personally. And Instagram, I get the Instagram messages as well. So thank you guys for being here live. Thank you for watching the replay. I know there's a lot of you who are going to watch the replay. And I'll be back for more. All right. Sending you love and light, and best wishes for your healing and for your nervous system regulation.